So who are you? And what's your name? And who are you? Here again, be professional. What's your name is? Sour ass.
Hello.
Hello.
Greetings, Governess.
Greetings.
How you doing?
I'm well. How
Glad
are you?
I'm
How are
doing
you
fine.
doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine.
Nice to meet you both. Greetings, Miss. I don't want to. Hekathos.
Zero Hekathos.
Zero Hekathos. Nice to meet you.
You as well.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna start this session off uh with Zero, because you wanted to know a little bit more about the demonology side, and he's the specialist for all that right there. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and you know um speak to him however you want to do, Governess.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you all had a topic or if y'all had a lineup already. I just
Now, I was just basically going off what you was wanted to know when we was on the live last time.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I just wanted to become more familiar with like demonology or the demons.
All right. I mean, they're all over the place. It really isn't hard. um, a lot of people who are exposed to Abrahamic religions see demons as evil. But if you look at the etymology of the word demon, it comes from daemon. Daemon meant superpower. It meant inspiration. Daemons were um, known as protectors. Okay, so they were neutral spirits.
Right.
And when you want to start learning from quote unquote demons, you have to go in with a neutral outlook. And so I spent a lot of time having to kind of fight that Christian programming, that these certain spirits that didn't fit within the narrative of Christianity in a positive sense, so to speak. I had to break all that down so that I didn't have fear when I contact these spirits, because fear is like the killer of your magic. It's also very disrespectful. If you come to a spirit wanting help or wanting to communicate with the spirit, but you're scared of it. So if you are interested in getting to understand those types of spirits, you have to be able to get beyond your fear and get beyond your ignorance that's been programmed into you by one of the mainstream religions.
Okay. Gratitude.
No problem.
Honestly, I did not come with questions prepared. Z, I
It's
honestly thought
okay.
this was like going to be a mutual communication.
It is. It is a mutual communication. You don't have to come prepared.
All right,
I mean,
we can have a conversation. There's a lot to be considered when you're contacting demons, but if you don't mind, like, what's your practice? Like, what is, like your belief system like?
Well, my practice is I'm an ancestral interpreter. I communicate with those beyond this dimension, this world, um, and I bring forth what I consider truth, knowledge, wisdom, light, and all things in therein.
Okay, well, those ancestors are basically what has been demonized by the mainstream religions.
Yes.
Um, like if you study a lot of the different cultures, such as the Egyptian cultures, they were here with us. They had families. They taught human beings how to do different things. Um, and you have to understand, like in the Bible, okay, in Christianity, the way I came up, uh, these certain entities that came and helped out mankind are seen as evil. These are called, like the fallen angels and stuff. Because I believe that throughout different cultures and different religions, different names are given to the same entities.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to ask yourself, like, if these specific entities did not care about humanity, why would they take the time to teach them? Why would they take the time to have families with them?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So, a lot of things that religion instills within us doesn't make any logical sense. And you have to come to a logical conclusion to understand that, um, everything in life has a good and a bad application, you know. Um, and you have to just be willing to dig for what's good about something. You have to be willing to experience it for yourself in order to understand it, because 9 times out of 10, damn near 10 times out of 10, when people are talking shit about demons, like they haven't even conjured one up, they haven't even talked to one.
So, do you guys consider the Gede demons?
Honestly, I don't consider any spirit a demon in the negative sense.
Yeah.
I see the spirits more as people
Yes.
now. They're
Hmm.
not monsters.
Yeah.
They they don't know everything. They have their own personalities. They have their own point of view on things,
Hmm. They do.
and
Yes, absolutely true.
they just have a very advanced culture and advanced knowledge and advanced physiology that humanity does not understand fully yet.
Hmm. I agree. I agree. Yes. I see the Gede as our ancestors, but they're our first line of defense that we can call on to take care of things that, we may not want to take care of, you know what I mean? Or what I'm saying, do. And that could be seen as a positive or a negative, but we have ancestors as our first line of defense, so and I say that in a sense of some of those ancestors work with the underworld, right? And those are the ones that I consider the Gede. And then I have our ancestors, which would be like my mother, my father, kind of thing. The lineages, and then I believe we work with the natural um, elements of the matrix plane. Okay, best way I could say that. Okay, and then we have the Loa, which would also fall in there, and they could also fall under the Gede as well. And then the deities, which I call intra beings, as well as the High Council, the Grand Council, because I believe they're levels. And I believe when we're looking at it, they're all the same. They just come with different levels and names.
Yeah, I agree. I like in my studies, I feel that you I studied Hermeticism, and I believe in what is called the all. And the all is like this neutral source of energy where um, the energy descends, and the more it breaks apart, it creates something different. So, like, I would say that human beings are, uh, they're not pure, they're not from like the source, but they're derivatives. Everything is the derivative from that energy. Um, but it's funny that you mentioned the matrix, because I do a lot of studying Egyptian theology, and there's this goddess called Net,
Hmm.
and she is the one that weaves the matrix. She's the one that takes the power of, let's say, the all
Mhm.
and turns it into something physical by weaving clothing for it to keep that power in a certain shape.
I was
Mhm.
gonna say, can you elaborate on some of the beings that you had contact through the Egyptian uh, Zero?
I've contacted Ra. Ra is awesome. Um, Ra is like feeling the connection to everything, and it's not confusing. It's just kind of comforting, and like there are different aspects of Ra, no doubt. No doubt. There's the burning aspect, uh, but like when I contacted him, there wasn't that harshness to him, and he told me that when he does nothing, everything will get done. But if he were to do everything as a human being, nothing would get done. I was like, that's pretty deep when you think about it. There's a lot of sources that talk about how everything exists just because Ra exists. Like he doesn't have to do anything. Everything is just appears because he's there. I've contacted Naberger, which is supposed to be like a trinity. Um, like the Egyptian lore had a lot of trinities within their hierarchy. Um, then um, I've contacted Isis, of course. Love Isis. Hephaestus, Horus, Osiris, Set, Geb. Um, I can't remember all of them off the bat. But there was this the book. It's called the Kemetic Tree of Life. That's the book that I went through when I want to contact the Egyptian deities.
You can
Okay.
hear me, Governor?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Okay. Zero, could you elaborate and explain how long you've been practicing the demonologist systematic magic?
Um, I've been practicing in general for 18 years. I can't really say how long I've been practicing uh, demonosophy. It was just kind of like I came to a point where I was working with a lot of spirits that would be considered demonic, um, and the philosophies that they had uh, made a lot of sense to me. And so it wasn't just the science of demons. Demonology is usually a science that's applied to resist the demonic. But instead, I was seeking to understand um, that which was considered demonic. And thus was born my form of demonosophy.
I'm waiting on the governors to come with some answers right now.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was trying to start my live so other people can like join in and listen to the conversation. Because people were waiting on this, and I wanted to make sure that others can hear it. So I was trying to hear up and start it. So my apologies for the lack.
It's
Um,
okay.
I don't really have an answer, but I did have a question because I'm so intrigued by your knowledge and I'm intrigued by the conversations that you've had. I wanted to ask, what is the most riveting thing that you have or knowledge you have gained from one of the Egyptians or, uh, you know, the contacts that you've been in?
Oh man, from one of uh the Egyptian, the I guess like the biggest thing that I can take away from working with the Egyptian pantheon is really have to know yourself and know the power within yourself and to understand
Mm,
your connection to them, to understand that you are from them, they are part of you, and you are part of them. And when you tap into that understanding and that knowing of who you are and who your family is, uh, that makes that connection so much stronger and easier. That makes your magic stronger.
understood. Understood. Okay. So you said you love Isis, like you really like her energy and the communication that you've had. What was that like, though? I'm sorry, I feel like I'm going into interview mode. What was
Go for it.
that?
Like I'm here. I'm chilling. Um, ISIS. Well, I when I work with the different entities, I find that it's easier to tap into them when you uh, kind of see them as archetypes. Like they can be parts of yourself that has a specific function, but they are also uh, entities without. They're their own people.
Mm,
Um, but Isis herself represents wisdom,
mm-hmm.
and that is the thing that I always wanted from my journey. There's a lot of people that go into it for power, for the sake of power. And no, like you have to understand how to use that knowledge and use that power in order to benefit yourself as well as those that you're seeking to help.
Okay, heard you on
And,
that. Yeah.
and that's why, like Isis, like I'm very fond of Isis. I'm fond of that wisdom. I'm fond of that experienced way of looking um, at things and how it always forces you to expand your mind by thinking.
I agree. I agree. I appreciate that. So, well, I guess now I do have some questions as we're going along because it's so it's so interesting to me. So, when was the first time that you decided to like contact? And Z corrected me the other day because he said there's a difference between a daemon and a demon.
Right, right.
Okay.
As I explained earlier, the demon is the negative context that was brought about through mistranslation.
Yes.
Daemon is the earlier word that meant superpower and inspiration um, and protector.
Okay.
And they say that Daemon is originally Greek, although the Greeks got a lot from the Egyptians, so that's arguable.
Yeah. I um I believe that a lot of our power and our source and our intra-beings have been taken and put a negative connotation on it, which is why I feel like they've taken the word demon and they have now used it inside of their negative energy and like pushed it out towards us and said, hey, this is what anything outside of us is demonic. You know what I mean? But not
Mm,
understanding that the energy that they're giving you is the lower frequency of, lower energy, that demonic energy, because that's what they have labeled it as. I don't believe that. I just believe that, listen, if something needs to be taken care of and you need to call on a different being, sometimes you need to call on a different being. You need to call on another side of yourself. You have polarity, duality. And
mm,
so I'm not just a light being, I carry darkness with me as well. It has to be a balance.
right.
And so because sometimes I'm a lot of times activated in the lighter, what? Yeah, absolutely, gratitude. Sorry, I'm speaking to the people over here. The my, I got Yehuda on the main line. Um,
Hello, people.
yes, we have a few people on my end as well. But Yehuda said to me as I was saying that they want us to think that the dark energy is the negative energy. The positive is actually the dark. And the lighter could be seen as what may not be always as nice. And it's a duality, you know. And he just asked me to spin that around, so I will. But for you, now my question was, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. When was the first time you decided to connect with the daemon? And was it by accident or did you mean to?
Uh, Figuring out you want to connect with a daemon um, is a gradual process. There was no one day or moment when I was like, you know what, I'm just going to conjure up like a goetic spirit or something like that. It was just kind of becoming disillusioned through religion. And then when you figure out like a lot of it is one sided, then you have the curiosity. When it doesn't necessarily work for you, you have the curiosity of what the other side is like. And so, you know how they say there's one side, there's another person's side, and then there's the truth, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
little mixture of both.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's what got me thinking, like, okay, well, what if I just go ahead and contact these supposed demons and talk to them and just see what their side is about? Not necessarily like trying to worship them or trying to get anything out of them like genies, but just saying, hey, look, um, I'm curious about who you are. And if you're willing to sit and speak with me and spend time with me, like I'm willing to hear you out from a neutral standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But that outlook gradually came because, before when I decided to conjure up a demon, I was looking through Solomonic magic, and the thing is that Solomonic magic seeks to bind these spirits, and that's not fair treatment of them. And so, the newbie mistake I made was initially trying to use that method, but then I came to the
Mm.
point where I'm like, you know what? Like, I wouldn't want to be bound and then asked a whole bunch of questions. Like, it's easier to get things out of somebody who is your friend than someone who is your enemy.
Got it. I love that. I love that. Gratitude. Um, I'm going to share experience with you, Mr. Heck at those, Mr. Zero. I would like to share an experience,
Go
and
for it.
I would like to get your view on it.
Let me get to know you.
Have you ever heard of the entity called Azazel?
Absolutely. Lilith recommended Azazel to me.
I work with Azazel a lot. Many people do not know that, and I work with him because he attempted to choke my sister out in front of me one
that's
day.
that's not funny, but I can empathize with that. So
I
not
had
with Azazel, but I've had that happen to me.
Okay, so it was just myself, my ex protege, and my sister in my house. And my sister fell back on the couch and couldn't breathe. Something was choking her. And when I tapped in, I saw a huge entity, like a very shiny green, almost like wearing a suit, green and I want to say brownish in color. And when I asked the entity his name, he told me his name was Azazel. And I asked him why was, what was happening. And I told him he had to release my sister. And in that moment, it was like he was standing directly in front of her, just looking, staring at her. And I told him he had to release her. And he did that. I could not understand why that happened, what was the point, but I sometimes will use Azazel if I'm creating protection for someone.
Mhm.
Or as of recently, I asked him to go sit on someone's chest that thought they wanted to do me harm. So, what is your thought on that?
Azazel is awesome. I feel like there are things that he does to test us to make us have more backbone. Um, Also, there are things that he does in order to help us to spiritually evolve. There was one time I was doing something in the ether, like when you astral travel and stuff. You have your higher self,
Mm-hmm.
and your higher self tends to do things that you wouldn't expect your regular self to do,
Mm-hmm.
but you know it's coming from you. And so my higher self did something that would was bothering me because humans have a morality code that is not in sync with angels or the demonic. So that's one thing that you have to get over. And Azazel, when I went to Azazel and told him about it and how I felt, Azazel was like, don't question your moves, whether they're dark or light. Like,
Mm.
don't worry about it. You know, Azazel has always been a representative of balance for me, uh,
Okay.
both dark and light.
Okay.
And to hear you working with Azazel, like, I mean, congratulations. That's that, you know.
I've used that energy. This would be the second time. But I agree with you that he's a tester. I don't know if he, she, I would say they,
Mhm.
as an entity itself, is a tester because the other night when I did some energy work, some ritual work, some spell work over here, and I asked him to go sit on someone's chest. Um, every time I came out my room, I would hear Azazel's here, as if they were trying to see if I was fearful. And I said, I don't give a shit, And so I realized, I said, oh, I'm being tested to see
Mhm.
you want to work with this energy, but are you afraid of it? And I said, no, I don't give a shit. So I agree that I was being tested.
I think they also test how you will use the power. Um, you know, Azazel one time told me he came in and his greeting was, "Isn't it the most wonderful thing when somebody you really hate is destroyed?" And I'm like, that doesn't fly in our society. Like, if you kill somebody that you hate, like you'll get locked up. And it's funny because in that moment, you could see him kind of process my answer and then go into whatever he wanted to teach me. Uh,
Mm,
and that was just like, okay, like you unlocked this information. Um, and like when you study the people who studied a lot of the um, divine practices, like say I was listening to something about a Brahmalin, whether or not these angels are fallen or these demonic, they're still divine.
mm-hmm.
Um, in Egyptian practice, you had to be righteous. In the Abramelin path that worked with angels, you had to be righteous. But these angels were sent to test you. If you wanted to be a fucknut with the power, they'll let you do that. But that power is going to swallow you up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree.
And that's what Azazel is like. Azazel is the one that uh, puts you on that balance, um, and sees whether you're level headed or not.
Yes. I have used them for protection. I have used them for protection. You know, just to keep someone safe.
Hmm.
But the reason I asked them to go sit on someone's chest is because um, I understood that this person is gunning for my life.
Right.
And so I didn't ask them to harm anyone. I
Yeah.
had already, I
Hmm.
conjured and spoke to Marie Laveau, and she worked me through the. I put somebody in a spleen
Mm.
the other night, and I used the blood to do so. And I just really want them to swallow themselves. And I asked him to go sit on his chest, so he shall not be moved in such a way that until it's time for whatever destruction he causes upon himself to happen,
Mm.
because you seek for my life. So it's justified in what I'm asking, So I don't teach people to harm people. I teach people balance.
Right.
So do you believe that we should be making ourselves knowledgeable of what is considered the daemons?
I think we should make ourselves knowledgeable about everything.
Everything.
I'm that guy that promotes that saying "fuck around and find out."
That part.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yes, I believe that they have a lot to offer. One has to be understanding. One has to be genuine in that search, though. The daemons, they're not genies. They are people. They have feelings, and you
I
have
agree.
to establish a relationship, just like establishing a friendship or a close, intimate relationship with another human being. When you understand, and this is another thing that the Egyptian gods told me. When you understand the soul of a spirit, then you understand how they move, and when you understand how they move, then you can sync up with that movement to benefit with working with that spirit.
Yes. I think it's a misconception from humans in our human mind that these deities, entities, intra beings are always positive, always light, can't have an opinion or thought. But I will tell you, I agree with you because I know firsthand, even with me working with Papa Candelo,
Mm.
Papa has his own thoughts sometimes. And he has talked to them and he has done it on camera. And he's like, "You're not my boss." You know what I mean? Like, I can't do what I want to do, and I hear them sometimes in communication where they're not always in agreement.
Right.
You know,
That's true. Yeah.
um, Sometimes Yehuda will come through and will say, "Yeah, go ahead, do what you need to do," and I will hear somebody else say, "Well, I just don't think she's going to grow if she continues on in this way." Like, like people don't understand the communication that happens because they think it's false.
Hmm.
I agree that we should get to know all things.
Well, see, the way I understand it, because like currently I study Gnosticism because that's what Lilith told me to study, honestly. Um, and, I found ways to connect with a representative of, like, let's say, like the oneness of God, so to speak, or the all. And it's a mixture of the divine feminine and the masculine feminine. And there will be times when they both agree. There will be times when, if the masculine is speaking up, then the divine feminine is trying to keep her mouth shut.
Hmm.
But then there are times when uh, one will say something, the other one be like, no, I don't want to agree with that. They'll argue with each other. Then they'll come to the realization that there's no point because one sees it one way and the other sees it different. Then there's like a little bit of silence, and then they're back to agreeing again, and it's hilarious.
It is. It's very funny. And I've experienced exactly what you're talking about, even when it comes to what I understand as the oneness and the grandmother, Dina and Yehuda.
Mm,
They not always, will agree, but I will hear him say, "Well, let me, she's going to be okay, Adina." You know what I mean? Like, she's going to be okay. It's like, when he was not pleased about me not doing the work I needed to be doing the other day, she stepped forward and told me, like, hey, this is not playtime. There's some work that needs to be done. We need messages to be received. So I had to get that understanding. Like, I do believe we have free will. I could have said, absolutely not today. You know what I mean? But I give my life to this work, and I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? And I absolutely love it. So when she say, hey, it's not playtime, it's game time, I said, oh shit, let me go ahead and do what I need to do, so we
Right.
can get this message out. And lo and behold, the next day, the submarine came found.
Yeah, they stay keeping distractions in the media and social media and stuff like that. I was gonna ask Xero, could you let everybody know what it's like working with Lilith? Everybody that's in the chat right now, because I'm getting in on this side.
Lilith is like, a lot of people don't understand Lilith. They just attribute her with sex or femininity. Uh, but Lilith is the expression of the divine feminine. And most times she's seen as dark and chaotic. But like I said before, when you deal with certain spirits, you have to get to know them. There are different aspects to them. Um, Initially, is she easy to deal with? No. And I don't know how she deals with women, but I know how she deals with men. And if you are a practitioner and you're male and you want to deal with Lilith, there's going to be some difficulty. Um, I argued with her a lot. Like, we've had knockout, drag out, knock down, drag out, like cursing matches and stuff like that. But in the end, she is there to help you evolve spiritually. It's it's not always going to be easy, and she may have to drag you to certain places. Uh, but you know, everything that she said to me that was important and pertained to my spiritual growth, like, I checked it out and it was true. Um, and even though, like, there were some times when, like, we had fights, there were some times when I was wrong, and so I had to be like, you know what, like, what you said was right, and like, you gotta put your hands up. So yeah, her biggest thing was, just be yourself, be truthful to yourself, and be truthful with what you want. um and like, when you argued with her, one thing that spoke to me a lot was, like, she was very willing to forgive. Like, she was just like, ask for forgiveness. And I was like, you know what, I'm sorry for what I did, because I felt like I was actually wrong. She was just like, you're forgiven, like that. That's it.
That's deep. That reminds me of the episode on Black Mirror, the who is it, Demon 79, where they have the black man plays the demon. He comes into the human form, but he wears all white to show that he has, quote unquote, some good. But when you watch it, it's almost like this is not something we should be afraid of, because he actually gave her genuine love. He never lied to her. He always told her the truth. That's everything opposite in what they have instilled into the masses of what a demon is.
Right.
Right. We have to pay attention to the small things like that.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying when I was talking about how, like, all these people who speak out against demons, like, you've never spoken to one. How do you know that they're evil? How do you know that they hate humanity? Like, if they hated humanity, like, we would have been gone a long time ago. We would have been snuffed out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because these beings, they know how to manipulate. Like they have their negative and positive applications. Um, and if they didn't care, like they have ways of changing things within us, and changing things the way that we see the earth, whether or not we want to. Um, for the most part, though, it's seen as taboo to go against somebody's free will. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't necessarily mean that they always follow the rules.
Yeah.
Um,
No. Yeah. For
but
real.
the thing is that there has to be some goodness in them if they have the power to manipulate us so much and just do away with us. Because there's a lot of angels as well as demons that perceive humanity as something lower. Um,
But is that something then? Because should we even label them then as angels and demons? Because aren't they one and the same?
Angels just means messenger.
Right.
So, I mean, a demon, a god, a person can be an angel. It's
Mm-hmm.
just a divine messenger.
Yeah.
Um, and you have to understand the meaning. The English language is such a bastard language and meant
Yeah.
to confuse. Um, and that's why, like, you have to study history. You have to study the etymology of words in order to get an understanding of an aspect of these beings, because it's not going to be a full definition.
Mm-hmm.
And you when you have a messenger, like you have messengers that deliver bad messages, you have messengers that deliver good messages. That's just the nature of things. And these messengers that deliver the truth that you don't want to hear, those are the ones that people vilify.
Yeah. Seriously. Yeah. I agree.
um you know I had Samael tell me that God, quote unquote, shows you what face you need. And, like if you're dealing with uh, a demon, who's to say that there's nothing to learn from that expression, that so called derivative of the original source?
Very true. Very true. Mm.
I
So,
was
what
gonna
are
say,
the.
like,
I wanted to know what you said you venerate the ancestors, and I think you said you dealt with the dead, if I'm correct.
Yeah, those that have left the physical and is now living inside of the ether.
So, from your experiences, what do they think of heaven and hell? Like, what is their definition of those two?
They tell me it doesn't exist. That it doesn't exist. That there is just is, unless they are um, inside of the nothing. Is what they call it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and none of them wants to go to the nothing. And so when I asked them what is the nothing, they said it is a void of anything. So how they are like living simultaneously with us
Mm-hmm.
inside of this matrix, but they are in the matrix and out of the matrix because they are inside of the ether, right? And they are everything. Um, but yeah, right, gratitude. But also could be considered as nothing, because people don't believe they exist because they can't see them. I,
Right.
however, understand and know that they are very real because they told me that they are actually the living and we are the dead. We are inside of dead flesh. Um, and until we are released from this dead vessel, then we begin to live.
Right.
Does that go back? I got a question. Zero. When you were working with Lilith, right? Um, the point where she had to endower, envour you, right? And like get rid of your vessel, right? The sole purpose. Remember you was telling me about that part where she had to eat.
Oh, where she devoured me?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
point.
I mean,
Is
it's
that like a resurrect of being like born over again and
yeah.
released from like the parasites?
Well, it's like a spiritual death. In order to become anew and become something different, you have to die to this world and the way it's thinking of its thinking. Um, and so, the abyss and being devoured by Lilith is that spiritual death. You
Mm-hmm.
come out as a new being because you're looking at the world from a different perspective, and there's no going back from there. And you're dead to the world, and that's why, like, a lot of people who are spiritual teachers um, get attacked by the people in the world who
Mm-hmm.
want to troll these channels, because you don't belong there. And it's like an immune system. The white T cells are coming to attack a foreign vessel within the body. They're like, you're the wrong frequency. Fuck out of here.
Yeah. 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 So what is, because I know the nothing can also be considered the abyss. What is the abyss to you?
This is a great place. I mean, there's the esoteric and then there's the exoteric. And the esoteric is the uh the deeper meaning, the meaning that is personal and within. So you have both a actual place that is without, and then you have a place of the abyss that's within.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the abyss within is just a place where you meet a lot of the aspects of yourself
Love that.
that you don't want to deal with, and
Mm-hmm.
they manifest as demonic creatures, and those are the parts of yourself that you have to integrate to become one being, to become a healthier individual.
Yes. Yes, your alternates, and they could be living and being very reckless if you're not, um, whole, or if you're not doing what needs to be done in some aspects. I love that. I love that you said that. Gratitude. I think that's something for us to consider and look at a little deeper.
Absolutely.
Gratitude.
And the beautiful thing about it is when people look into it, and this is the thing that I love to hear. I love it when somebody has their own experience, and they tell me about how their light bulb went off. Um, and it's kind of like I've met many people who are on the same level, but they got there from a different angle, from a different perspective. Like what you believe, there's nothing wrong with that. And like maybe I don't achieve gnosis by following in your footsteps,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't mean that nobody can achieve gnosis. That does not mean that you've never achieved gnosis, because it doesn't work for me. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, by the way you speak and hold these beings with such high regard, you can tell that you've had an experience. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because that kind of love cannot be faked, and that realness,
I
like
mean,
where it's like, no, they're not all rainbows and sunshine. Like they can tear you up.
yeah, I absolutely love um the intra beings that I work with, that I've come to know, that I teach on. I absolutely love it. I would never go back ever because of the genuine bliss that I feel,
Mm,
working with them and allowing myself to understand me and who I am. And again, I agree because what may be my truth may not be someone else's truth.
mm,
And that's okay. That's why, if someone is a Christian, that's beautiful for you. If that works for you, then okay. It don't work for me and I won't stand inside of that energy. So
right.
this is the energy I choose to understand and work inside of because it works for me. And it is my truth. And whatever somebody else's truth is their truth. I don't live in a bubble. I live outside the bubble.
Hmm.
Period. You know? So,
And just for any Christians that would happen to see this and think that we're all satanic, just because we don't see things from your perspective does not mean that we are against your God or against Christ or against the Savior. Like my experiences have caused me to see things from a different perspective and reach my own appreciation of that pantheon through my experiences.
perfect word, pantheon. Absolutely.
Yeah, and so like all these people, they want to get aggressive and they think that what we do is a condemnation of uh, them and their beliefs. And it's like, no, like you're free to believe whatever you want. Just
Uh-huh.
please, like, don't come and like step on my feet because I believe differently. Like we
Sure.
can coexist. Chill the
Yeah.
fuck out.
Chill the fuck out. Yes, chill the fuck out. Allow me to live outside of the bubble. You know what I mean? I'm living
Yeah,
outside of the bubble and I just have a different understanding of things. And if people have a different understanding, I think that's okay. You know
yeah.
what I mean? So,
And it's just like there's there's a beauty about agreement, like disagreement. I mean, um, because it challenges the way that we think and it causes us to kind of, I feel from a mature perspective, it causes us to try to see from that point of view. And by doing that, we grow. So
mhm.
there's nothing wrong with having a different belief and saying, no, I don't agree with what you're saying. Okay, that's fine. That helps me to come up with a logical conclusion of how to help people understand why I've come to my belief. Not to make them believe the same as me, though. Um, I love that challenge.
Yeah. My
But
thing
like,
is, I just want people to think. You know what I mean, Zero?
exactly, exactly. Amen. Like, that's the biggest part. Like, do your research. Tell
That's it.
me why you believe in something. Like,
Yes.
show me sources. Like, okay, like where I'm like, okay, if you're just coming at me all crazy, then of course I'm going to come back at you crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we don't have to do it this way.
Hmm. Like, even if you don't believe in anything that I'm saying, that's okay with me. I just want you to think and find out what it is that you really, what registers to you and
Yeah,
what works for you in your experience, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. That's it. That's all. Be yourself.
Be
Do you.
yourself. Yeah. Yeah. Gratitude for that. So, my question to you is when you said that she devoured you, like,
Hmm.
I'm trying to, what does that mean? What is that experience?
It's it's kind of like Lilith is a representation of Earth, and when we die, we're buried in the earth. So to me, like when she said she would devour me, that was symbolism of me dying spiritually. Um, you know, having that earth, that divine feminine swallow me.
Hmm.
Because okay, so if you study the story of Osiris, okay, Osiris was killed and thrown into a river, and the
Hmm.
river is a feminine element. So he was submerged. All his pieces were submerged, and that was his symbolic death. And being submerged in that water, because it was a river, represented progress. And that was a spiritual progress. And so, like, we have to die. We have to be able to shed who we were in order to change into our higher potential selves, you know. And that is what we had to do. Like, the earth is a feminine element, so we have to engulf ourselves.
I love that you keep saying that, because I mean that really ruffled some feathers yesterday when Z asked me the question. But I love that you say that, and I understand, because when you say water is a feminine element, I understand that it gives life,
Hmm.
it births, so I totally get that. Gratitude.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the end, I believe in non-duality, but in order for us to understand certain concepts, we have to split them in between, like light, dark, masculine, feminine.
Hmm.
So that's why I use these terms. But there
Hmm.
have been people that said that Lilith has come as a male, and that just goes to show that these beings also understand that um, the concept of non-duality. And it's really about us understanding the concepts that help us to grow. Um, and
I understand. Yeah,
yeah,
gratitude.
but yeah, you have to. I've always believed that you have to give credit where credit is due. Like, one isn't better than the other. They just have their different places. They have their different applications,
Hmm.
and by practicing that balance, that's what makes us whole.
Hmm.
So
I appreciate that. It's been very interesting.
yeah, and it's, man, like, I love the spirits that have stayed with me the longest, and Lilith is one of those spirits. And I feel like the demonic, the chaos, the darkness, even though there were difficult times that I went with her, there were also times that, she did try to adapt, in order to make me happy, which was like a total surprise, because we're told that Lilith, we're misguided thinking that Lilith hates men. Lilith does not hate
Mm.
men. But at the same time, it's just like you have to show respect for her as well. You have to respect her place.
Yes, because I definitely don't hate men. You know what I mean? But I think that was a misconception of the question that he posed to me yesterday. That I have, I think that, I don't know, but I agree, and I get that, and I appreciate that from you as
Mhm.
well. So interesting.
Um, Zero, could you elaborate on a lot of the what we was did the other night about Hakate, about when you first was working with her, and how her spirit is a loving when you went to visit her in the astral as
Okay.
well.
Well, Hecate is one of those. I mean, she's one of those big entities, and she is like a mother to me. She's like an adoptive mother,
Hmm.
um, because Lilith claimed me as her child. And, I feel like anyone who teaches you something, to benefit yourself and something deep, takes that parental uh, place, you know.
Hmm.
Um, but anyway, so Hecate is like an adoptive mother. She is kind of strict. Like, she's not one to play around. She's very serious. There was one time when I was experimenting, um, contacting through being high off of marijuana. and she didn't, like she put up with it for a little bit, but then she made her point that she did not appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
She wants you to benefit off of your own power.
Yes.
Um, she is not, you know, I personally feel like the real gods do not ask you for worship. She has never asked for worship.
Absolutely. No.
Like what you have to offer, due to your appreciation, is what she accepts. If you have nothing, she still comes to you.
Mm-hmm.
She still embraces you.
Mm-hmm.
There was one time when I was having a problem seeing her, her human aspect, because my brain says they're not really human. There's something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And so with her, it was hard to get a visual and connect. And so I asked her, I said, if I decide to go on a shamanic mushroom journey, would that be okay? And she gave me the green light for that. And through that, I didn't contact her humanoid form, but I was able to contact other forms because she's known as a goddess of, the earth, the sea, and the sky. So I was able to see her sea as well as her celestial aspects. Um, and it was beautiful. Like the celestial aspect, she came to me as a whole living planet covered in plants. And the plants were alive, and like the vines were like moving and reaching out to touch you. But it wasn't like a terrifying, in a terrifying way. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
when she showed me her sea aspect, she was a squid and her tentacles filled the whole sea, and they would cradle you like a baby while you're in the sea. And it was great, you know. Um, and then later on, like she showed me a humanoid form. Like she has a giantess form where it's a black woman with an
Mm-hmm.
afro.
Mother Adina. Yes.
But then there's also a form of her that's in this black dress, and she has pale skin, and she looks very regal, and she does not blink, which creeps me out. Um, and a big thing about like our ancestors and our deities, people argue about race. They do not care about race. They will take multiple forms. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like sometimes, I've had another person tell me that they will take a form that you might despise in order to test you.
Yeah. I've had what I consider genomes, white people come out of the blue and help me and disappear into thin air.
Hmm.
And I understood then, oh, I'm dealing with something, what I would call and reference at that time angels. Like, oh shit, that's an angel right there.
Hmm.
Like I'm looking down the street, like there's no way this person just disappeared into thin air. And
Right.
so even on this walk, they told me not all genomes are genomes.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So all white people are not white people, no matter what it is that you think. You know what I mean? So we have to use our discernment and how we maneuver and how we because some are planters. You know what I mean? So we have to understand that. So I agree. I show gratitude.
Yeah. So, Hekate is also the type, if she knows that you've reached a certain level where you can do things for yourself, she will tell you to leave her the fuck alone. She will kick you out to play. She will tell you that you know enough. Go do shit. That's the beautiful thing about Hekate.
Wow.
But it's not like
Yeah.
she's telling you never to come back, because she
Hmm.
helped me. When I'm like, I know you told me to go do my thing, but like I'm just asking for your wisdom and just a hint here. And then she'll give me guidance. For example, there was one time when I don't remember the problem, but I was having trouble uh, figuring out what was the right thing to do. And I came to her and I just asked her. I said, I know you told me not to come to you for everything, and I'm just asking you for a tidbit of wisdom. I said, how do I know I'm doing the right thing? And there was a message that came to me instantly. And she said, do what you feel makes the world beautiful.
Mm. Mm.
And I was like, hot damn. Like,
That's what I'm talking about. See, this is the energy. And what I'm saying when she told me the other day, like you calling her Hakete? Hagete? Am I saying it
Haka-
correctly?
yeah,
Hakate.
I mean, like, I spell it with a K, like my
Yes.
name.
But I also, I reference her as the grandmother Adina, the alpha of the DNA, also known as the intranet.
Hmm.
Now, and that's the way she looked when she came to me. Her skin was extremely dark with gold flakes in it, and she had a huge afro. And extremely beautiful. She smells amazing.
Hmm.
Um,
It's that
and
roses.
she told me the other day, that's who stepped forward and said, listen, it's not playtime, it's game time. Like
Yeah.
there's some things going on amongst the, planetary people. And we need messages out. So it was like, oh shit. Oh, they ain't playing today. Like, okay. So
Yeah, like she's the one that, like, even, when I was having problems connecting to the angelic, I used her energy as a third party in order to call them in and deal with them, and had no problem while she was there. Like,
mhm.
that's how powerful Hecate is.
Yes. When I do my aesthetics, she covers me and my soul, my body, my vessel, so
Mm.
I don't die from alcohol poisoning. People don't get that shit. I am not a drinker. I do not drink whatsoever. But when I drink for the deities inside of my aesthetic, like the last one that was in North Carolina, Papa Candelo drunk an entire bottle
Hmm.
and was still functioning. Me, if Quatita 1.5 drinks, I am drunk. You know
Oh
what I
man, I
mean?
seen that. I seen one of your lives. Like I seen one of them like that when you was had the bottom, and Papa Cadilla came through.
Yeah,
I
he will
saw that.
drink.
I was like, wow. I would say, I guess the energy kind of like protects you and your body
Absolutely.
when you go into the channeling and all that.
Yes, he tells everyone, I cannot leave her vessel. If I leave her vessel, she will die of alcohol poisoning. And
Mm.
so he stays in my vessel until my body is recovered. And sometimes I will wake up and see I'm in a different place. I have no idea where I am. And then I'm back out. And they will think they're talking to me until they realize, oh, it's Pop again, because that means I'm not ready to come back into my vessel. And
Hmm.
so when I do, it's usually some throwing up going on, needing some water, and like, what is happening right now? What happened? Did we do work? Did people get healed? Like, what's happening? So it's a beautiful thing.
I've had moments when there was one time when Horace took over, and I was in a messed up state, and he protected me. But it was funny because my friend had come to check in on me and didn't know what was going on, and told me, because I asked him, I told him I didn't remember the experience. I asked him what happened, and he told me, like, we had this deep ass conversation. I'm like, dude, you weren't talking to me, bro. I was gone.
Yeah. I so get that. Like, wow. I agree. Quarters.
And it was funny because Horace does not know how to drive, but somehow I made it to Walmart, and I ended up buying carrot cake, baby carrots, and then I had like tropical trail mix. And apparently this was part of his craving. And I also had some marshmallows that he ate. Like, I woke up the next day and my marshmallows were gone. And I was like, what the fuck?
I've done that. Like, where's my food at? They like, Papa ate it. What? Ate my whole fucking plate? Like, what? Yeah.
Like, I was looking forward to that shit.
Yeah.
Apparently he was too. And then like the baby carrots were left out. The carrot cake was gone. The trail mix was gone. Like the shit was crazy.
That's
And
amazing.
I only remember like bits and pieces. I remember like him trying to pay for the food and not knowing what the fuck coins are. Like, what the fuck is
Yeah.
this shit?
Yeah, it's only bits and pieces that comes back.
Yeah.
What? What?
Um, and like I've also had Thoth, kind of take over. I call it co-piloting because I'm still aware.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
and I believe they call it a two-headed possession in the African um circles. But like he's the type that's very curious. And like with my friends, like the ones that I'm very close to, he tends to be touchy feely, because he's like, oh, look at skin, look at like the little
Oh,
details
that's
in the skin.
squibblish. She will pull up a shirt and touch somebody's body in a minute. Like, let me see
Oh no.
yours.
Oh yeah, like no, he's not that invasive.
No, she is. She definitely has come through touching people. She has, listen, different deities have come through and pulled my shirt up in the middle of an event, like, and squeezed my breast because they like want to know. They will squeeze my stomach and say she is fat. Like, what is wrong with her vessel? Like, you
Wow.
know, it is. Sometimes it is
Wow.
embarrassing, but it is what it is, and I love them all. You
Mm,
know,
mm.
that's amazing.
Yeah, there's
So,
there's one time I was, full of Tahuti, and he just wanted to stare at a tree bark, and touch it, like because it was like the texture was amazing. They just wanted to know what it felt like from our perspective. There's
Yes,
one time, like the first time I invoked him, like I had to relearn how to walk. I had to relearn what a hand was. I was like, oh look, oh that's interesting. I can bend these. Like, oh, that's how you bend a finger. And I had to relearn that shit.
that's dope. That's very interesting. Yes. Very interesting. Gratitude for the convo.
So what is like with your spirits that you deal with? What is their take on religion in general? Because like you say, okay, so not just the toxic religion, but like let's say like the theology of the different cultures. How do they feel about that?
Well, they've told me that it was developed to tear apart um, different cultures of people. And that's why I said you used the great word pantheon, because they tell me that there are different pantheons, but they tell me that long time ago, they taught me that religion was developed to keep people from good communication, from people not understanding what the truth is. And as
Mm,
long as people are fighting about what God is correct, they don't get to the next level. They don't get to the place of what they should get to.
right.
And so that's why I understand that whatever works for you works for you, because they tell me don't argue with anyone about religion. Religion is not a real thing. It is the worship of many.
Right. Well, I mean, like I've had angels that are part of the Christian pantheon um, reference me to different cultures. I've had angels tell me about African gods. Um, I've had Christian entities refer to Greek entities or the Norse pantheon. I've been getting a lot of Norse lately for some reason. And I don't know anything about the Norse culture,
Hmm.
but like I've been getting Valkyries. Um, I feel like Freya stepped in and has visited me. And, I was speaking to, I called for an angel, just a basic general call. And I got an angel that was speaking with me through runes. And like, I don't know what these runes mean. I have to go and look this shit up.
Yeah.
But it's they're not doing something I'm familiar with. They're not showing me things from a Christian perspective per se. You know,
Yes.
they're
Yes.
coming from a pagan source.
Okay. Understood.
Hmm.
They've told me that they have been known um by many names,
Yes.
so that's how I also understand the different levels and the different um names. And that's why I don't like when you said Hecate, I understand that we may be talking about the grandmother. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So I don't, because even when Adina came to one of my clients that we call the cousins over here, who was in the facility, and he said he saw her come out of a wall, and he said, "Who are you?" And she said, "I've gone by many names,
Hmm.
and you're going to leave here now. There's nothing wrong with you." Next day, he was released. You know what I mean? But because people don't understand like how they deal with him, they assume he's crazy and keep putting him in facilities
Right.
because he's not fitting the Christian, you know, idyllic, like the whole institution of religion. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And I think that is, excuse my language, I think it's fucked up that, people, if you don't fit that agenda, they can't understand you. And so, I understand this, however they deal with you, whatever your understanding is. And so when Z first appeared on the scene for me, I understood, which is why I was excited to do this today, is because, they're ready for me to get an understanding more of what is known as demons,
Mm.
or the daemons. You understand? So, um, especially because of the workings that I have done with the Zaza, you know,
Mm.
um, and I did look that up because I'm like, I know this name. Where do I know this name from? And when I went to the X-Men and I saw, oh shit, they got this character, Azazel,
In a comic book.
in a comic book. Like, oh, so they know what we don't know and they don't want us to know it. So
Right.
now it's time that we know it.
And the crazy thing is, I've had demons tell me that they work for God. They work for God. Or, like working with Lilith. Lilith is known as the mother of demons. She's so evil, but yet she told me to study the Christ. She said that's how I would advance. She's the one who got me into Gnosticism, and she's the one who I now have a, when I was coming out of Christianity, I wanted nothing to do with the Bible, but now I have a better understanding and a better appreciation of the Bible. You know, now I can get some enjoyment out of reading it, and that's what dealing with the so-called mother of demons. Um,
Mhm.
the, such an evil being. That's what I got from my experience with her.
I can definitely respect it. I definitely respect that.
You know, and like they show so many things in such a variety of ways. It puts flavor back into life. It puts the quality
Mhm.
back into life, and they teach you to look at the world in such a different way, that just separates you from all the bullshit that most people get caught up in. You know,
Do
and
you
it's
find
like,
it takes away the fear?
definitely, oh, definitely, they take away the fear, because when you have an understanding of what life really is, and you have an understanding of what eternity is, and our connection, and an understanding of energy, like, what the fuck is there to fear?
Yeah. Yeah. Gratitude. Absolutely.
You
Wow.
know, and they push experience, learning from experience. They want you to have an appreciation for life, and they want you to make life beautiful. And working with demons. People think that you go crazy. Temporarily, yes, but I've never had a demon tell me to do something fucked up, like kill somebody for no reason, like, or go insane, or go on a killing spree, or, I've never had a demon that was supposedly a killer of children
Mm-hmm.
hurt any of the children that I was associated with, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's so crazy how people are scared of these beings, and when you come to an understanding of them, they're not scary at all. Like, they're smart. They have senses of humor. Um, yes, they can be dangerous, but like, if you use your common sense, you'll be good for the most part.
And that's what you was telling. You was teaching when you was telling me about get to know them and be more respectful. When I had learned that from you,
Yeah,
because
like,
you could get in a situation and think real negative and it be something else.
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, it's only natural to understand how they can be certain ways. Because, like, imagine me seeing you on the street, as a stranger, and if I treat you like shit, it's going to be your natural response to mirror that attitude, you know. So if we come in with the mindset of, oh, this is a demon, this is a negative energy, like, this thing hates me, that's what we're going to get, um, because we're not coming with the right attitude. When you start seeing, to me now, when I approach an entity, when I tap into a certain frequency, I consider that particular being as family. And I've never had any being say, no, you're not part of my family. I've never had any being say, no, you're not my brother, or you're not my sister. But, like, when you treat them like that, like somebody who's close to you, whether it's a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, a lover, you know, um, then you're more likely to have a positive experience with that entity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes, because we have a difference of personality, doesn't work out. Like, we don't always get along with our family. But even the
Mm-hmm.
entities that I have not been able to get along with well, I've still had um, profound experiences with them. When I said, you know what, I'm gonna love you like family.
Well, I just recently had one. I was listening to a conversation, like what I was explaining. Like sometimes I hear them conversing, and the energy spirit said to me plainly, "I don't really want to work with you." Like, oh, okay, no problem. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Again, people don't know that these conversations happen. And I said, okay, no problem. They felt like I was very hard headed when it came to like my diet and different
Mhm.
things like that. And did not want me to make his job harder. So he said, I don't really want to work with you.
Right.
So if he stuck around, I'm not sure. But, that was a conversation that I did hear and they made sure that I heard it. So,
And sometimes they do that as a protection. Like, you're not ready for that energy. That energy would blow your mind up. You know what I'm saying? Um, like with Hecate. Hecate is infamous for being a deity that will pass you off to a deity that is better for you at that time.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And, people don't understand that. They take it as an offense, and it's like, no, it's not an offense. It's just that you're not at a certain level where you need to be in order for what they have to give you to benefit you. So instead, um, of crippling you by giving you something you're not ready for, they're going to present a situation where you do get inspired and you do learn at the pace and the level that you can at this moment.
mm-hmm. I agree. I think it's a good thing though. You know what I mean? I do. I think it's a good thing. And yeah, I shit. Be like, I don't care. Like, it is what it is. I work with the grandmother and I work with Yehuda, and for me, shit, that's what I'm good with. That's what I'm okay with. But if there's other intra beings that they want me to work with, then I absolutely will. And sometimes, they have to tell me like, stop being so hard headed.
Mm-hmm.
You need this, you need to grow from this, you need to learn this lesson, so you can move forward. Like, come
Right.
on now. And so I will, I will, even if, oh child, even inside of some like my anger, because
Mm-hmm.
I have a temper. And so like even yesterday I went and got something to eat and it was horrible. I mean, from the me ordering it and me knowing I should have just pulled off to when I received it, it was horrible. And I ate. I said, you know what? This is so good. This is the best that I have had. Oh, it is so piping hot. Um, I'm not even going to allow myself to feel any other way because you don't have control over me that way. I have control over me.
Mm.
So it's different lessons that I am learning inside of my experience in the physical.
I see you changed a lot over the years because I used to watch you about some years ago, and I just see how you grew with these spirits because you did a totally change because you
Yeah.
went from like compressing that energy of that negative, and you just it seemed like you just got sweet and sweeter with it as time go by. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that because that's why I have an issue with some people that just want to jump into my shoes because they
Mm.
see the work that I do, when not understanding these it's levels to it. From my perspective, it's levels to it, and I had to go through a lot and grow a lot,
Mm.
from working with the ancestors to being introduced to um, Orishas, Loas, deities, Grand and High Council. You understand me? Like, I
Mm.
had no idea what was set forth for me, but I had to grow and go through some things, even with the dying on the table and then coming back. And then people want to discredit that. Well, Papa said you didn't really die, ma'am. I understand what my doctors told me, and you were not in the hospital, but that's how people try to discredit who I am and the walk that I've had to walk. You have not had to go through what I had to go through to get to the level of where I am with the understanding. And I've been through a lot so I can understand the people that I come across
Mm.
and the work that I do. You know what I'm saying? I was a stripper. What? I used to snort coke. What? Yeah, I've done a lot of shit. I done been arrested. You know what I mean? My best friend's daughter was murdered.
Mm.
Like, I've done a lot, been through a lot. So now I can understand and we can have conversations that without judgment.
People
You
do
understand me?
change.
You
People
know?
change.
And my anger, I'm trying to not suppress but learn to grow with.
Right.
you know and as I learn my alchemy and my spirit work, my soul work, which they get very annoyed because Yehuda said I should be doing soul and spirit work daily. Like,
Mm.
oh, you did some readings and you did some past life readings over the last 2 days, you didn't give so much, so you think you didn't did something today, huh? Like, so you ain't got to do that now. Well, I do, you know what I
I
mean?
saw
So
that. That's a beautiful thing right there too.
yeah, and I grow, and if you're not growing, then what are you doing? What are you doing it for?
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people, you know, they think that, everything's going to be positive. And it's like, no, it's not positive.
Mm-mm.
There's a such thing as called growing pains. I um, literally talked to one of my spirits, and the spirit was like, "Yeah, um, I love you." And I said, "Do I learn from you?" And they said, "Yes." And I said, "How do you teach me?" And he said, "Through pain." And I was like, "All right, if you love me, why do you teach me through pain?" And he was like, "That's what it takes to grow." That's what puts
Wow.
you in a situation where you're going to do something different. Like that growth is not comfortable.
Hmm. Exactly what I was told. One day I was walking up the street. It had rained, and it was drops of rain coming off the leaves as I was walking to the bus stop. And the spirit spoke to me and said, "People are like the trees, and they're like grass. Without rain, you'll never grow.
Hmm.
So it can't be all sunshine. If
Hmm.
it was all sunshine and damn daisies, like shit, when you come across something that doesn't feel good, you would explode. You would sink. You don't even know how to handle it. So you have to go through some things in order for you to get to the best part of yourself.
Right.
Got to know your power, your strength. You can't ask for patience and then never get tested.
Plus, it's like, all right, so if we don't learn how to deal with something and that situation keeps popping up, we're going to have a fucking meltdown every single time.
Every time.
But like, if we've dealt with that situation and we learned how we got through it, when that comes up again, it's like, whatever, you know. And that's the thing. There's a lot of us who are deep within our currents. We have thick skin because
Mm-hmm.
we've put through a lot, and it's just like we don't give a shit anymore,
That part.
you know. And it's a good thing because one, as people who are reaching out to help others understand, um, we do need that thick skin because there are going to be people who test us.
Mm-hmm.
And how we respond determines whether or not they listen to what we're saying or
Mm-hmm.
they're willing to, attach themselves to us. We never know the motives sometimes of certain people.
I mean, I've been through it so many times, and so I so agree with that. And people tend to disrespect your private space. They don't give you. It's a well, you chose this. No, I work for the spirit. I work for the soul. That does not mean that you can cross my boundaries, because then you'll get
Mm-hmm.
the whatever part of me that you didn't know existed. I promise you.
Uh,
And that's
my
going to be a
question
part
is,
that you do not want to see.
Yeah.
I got a question. How does this Yehuda looks? I mean, his avatar or his you know,
Um, of course, his Kukusa, when I
Kusa.
met him in my dream space, I woke up. I was walking down the street and I looked over and someone had my hand, and he was extremely tall, like you said, giantess. And his mane was huge. He was upright like a man, but he was a lion. And he had on a lavender robe trimmed in gold, and he was
Hmm.
walking extremely fast. And I saw his like paw hand kind of thing holding my hand, and we were walking down this street. It was completely desolate. It was buildings everywhere, like being downtown. You know what I mean? And it was nothing. And I knew in that moment he was walking me to safety somewhere, and it was like I was back out. I passed back out. But he also shows me himself as a black man with dreads that are extremely long that he likes to roll up in a crown. He has a big beard, extremely dark, very handsome, very muscular, loves martial arts.
I feel like, there's a part of me that feels like I know Yehuda. Like that feels
Absolutely.
that
Absolutely. I
just
am spirit.
resonates with me.
Yeah. They're shapeshifters. From my understanding, the deities or the intra beings that I work with, they're all shapeshifters, from being rhinos, hippopotamuses,
Hmm.
um, like I said, lions, tigers, panthers, um, um, wolves. Like those are their kakusas. I've also had a dream of them coming down with white robes on, but all of their faces were like cartoon animal faces, like Sylvester the cat. And they were
Oh man,
That's
hitting the
funny
ground.
because
Zero just said something. I know. Remember a while back when you was telling me about that.
Oh,
you know,
please tell me.
How they was starting to look like real cartoonish now.
yeah, I've had a lot of not a lot, but I've had quite a few um spirits pop up looking like cartoons.
Wow.
Like and you know the funny thing is I've had somebody tell me that they've seen spirits as cartoons, but then even I watch a lot of YouTube, right? And I was watching this this movie preview of a demon that came as a cartoon that was terrorizing these people inside this house that they, this demon that they conjured. And I'm like, that's very interesting.
Mm.
Um, sometimes Hollywood tends to show us what really is, but we're
Mhm.
thinking this is entertainment.
Yeah, because it's universal law. They have to.
Yeah, but they really do show up like that. I've had one of the spirits that Belial was in charge of. He came to me and he was teaching me about the power of liminal spaces. And he looked like a cartoon. Like he was like squat. He had one eye and he was wearing like one of those safari jackets, the brown khaki. He was dressed in that.
Hmm.
And he was telling me about the different things and how to create using the energy of the liminal space. But you have like this uh, crazy looking cartoon thing talking to you. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Like, yes, like, I mean, I know that I should be taking what he's saying seriously, but the way he looks is crazy.
Hmm. Mm. That's interesting. I've seen them in my sleeping state. Yeah, it's cartoon faces. That is so interesting. Wow. Mm.
And I had, have you ever seen that cartoon called Ah Real Monsters?
No.
There
I have,
was a cartoon back in the day, and it was part of Snick. Like, this is dating me, but like when I was a kid, Saturday night Nickelodeon
yeah.
had this cartoon that was called Ah Real Monsters. And they had these characters of monsters that would, go around and they would go around scaring kids, and that's how they got their energy or whatever. And that's how they lived. But the cartoon followed certain monsters.
Like Monsters Inc.
Kind of, except it was, it was dark. It was a bit darker, and it
Okay.
was more enjoyable for me. Um, it wasn't cute like Monsters Inc. Let's put it that way. Um, and they had this one monster that was like a stick, like very skinny stick, and then it had like this exaggerated face on top of the stick that was bigger than the width of the body. I've seen a demon that looked just like that. And there was another character that was a body that was holding its eyeballs with its hands. I've seen spirits like that
Mm.
in cartoon form and in live action form, so to speak.
I remember we was talk about some of the angels and stuff, and that some of the angels when you conjure them up, they have multiple eyes and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I've seen angels that are cyclopses. I've seen angels that are a sea of eyes, like Azazel. Azazel has a shitload of eyes.
You know what? Don't fuck
Yeah,
me up like that.
yeah, yeah.
A lot of times
And
in my pictures, you can see eyeballs all over my face or all around me, and they're like, whose eye is that? Like, it's just eyeballs. I can never understand this.
like Azazel came to me looking like the almost like that acidic DMT art where like you see all the different colors and then you see the eyeballs within. and they're just like going out in the different cones and stuff like that. That's how he's appeared one time.
I saw him as a reptilian, like he was a huge reptilian, almost looked like a dinosaur to me, with very shiny, like very like almost not lime green, but very like emerald green. It looked like a suit, but it could be skin,
Mhm.
very shiny. And he had a tail, and he was huge. I mean, like huge. And he stood there in front of my sister, but his like what I could see of his like reptilian looking face was like brown
Mhm.
in a sense. So that's how I saw him, but I couldn't see like features of the face, and it was only from the side that I saw it. And so yeah, no, I don't know, but I see eyeballs in my pictures a lot.
When I fused with him, I ended up getting like eyeballs along my eyebrow and then going down my arm. That's how I saw myself in the vision. But like there are like a lot of the deities and a lot of the spirits are tied to snakes and reptilian.
Yes, they
Um,
are.
there's a lot of like snake symbology, and like back in the day, the same word that you use for snake was the same word they use for dragon, so they're kind of synonymous. They're
Yes, they are.
interchangeable, and that's why a lot of the different entities that we see are compared to dragons.
And I don't believe that they're all quote unquote evil.
Right.
And I know that because I was on a shrooms trip one time,
Hmm.
and I was taken into this place where my whole room turned into scales. And I was standing in front of this huge woman that was half reptilian, well, snake, serpent. Her bottom half and her top half was like a woman.
Hmm.
So I was not fearful. It was weird. You know what I mean? And that's why I don't do the shrooms, man. I can't fuck with that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, now I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like,
I'm just
and
starting to do that.
I
I'm,
can't
I'm
come out of it like I want to, you know. But yeah, I seen that, and I understand that not everything is what we think, and so we have to expand in our mind. Let me tell you this too, Mr. Zero. I was on a really strong shrooms trip. It was amazing. And my ex was standing outside. I'm like, what are you doing? It's freezing outside. And
Hmm.
when I stepped outside, I saw diagrams in the sky. It was the most amazing shit I've ever seen. I was out there for an hour full of tears, cold. I couldn't stop looking at them. And I heard them speaking. I said, oh shit, the constellations speak.
Hmm.
They talk. And sometimes they have different colors. Like, what? I saw it before on a different trip. The stars were different colors and they were blinking different colors.
I was told one time that light has sentience, light has life. The stars are compared to as angels, you know, um, and these different constellations that we go to give us understanding. Those are connected angels that are like teaching us, through those constellations. They're telling us a story.
I understand. The diagrams really trip me out. I can't even make it make sense. It was like beyond the stars or up where you would see the stars at. It was like diagrams. You ever seen what is it called? Oh my god. It's not the lotus flower. It is what is that called? It starts with a K. But it's like a diagram. Oh my gosh. And sometimes when people do it, they put one foot up on one thigh, right? Um, it's the not the see, that's not Kama Sutra, that's something sexual. I'm talking about something else, but it's diagrams. It looked like that, like
Mhm.
a almost like an octagon kind of thing.
So,
And it
some type of yoga or something.
yeah, but it's oh I can't think of it. I can't think of the name, but um it was huge in the sky and it was diagrams that
Mhm.
stretched like from one, this lines, different lines. It almost looks mathematical. Do you understand? You know what I'm saying? This motherfucker that
Oh yeah.
said kaleidoscope, no, Mona Lisa. Um, I can't think of it. Maybe the macabre. Maybe that's what it is. The macabre. But it was diagrams in the sky. I have never seen anything like that, and I understood we don't vibrate high enough to see half the shit that we should be seeing.
I believe that. That's
Uh,
facts.
it's
Hmm.
funny that you were talking about like diagrams and mathematics because at a certain point, the divine geometry like is a thing. I was talking to um I call it lambda. It calls itself lambda. Um and it was talking about how it was talking to me in geometry terms,
Kabbalah.
you know. It was telling me about how it's the archangel of 90 degrees, um the 45 degrees, the 180 degrees. Like it's talking all this circular and half circular shit, and what triangles mean from a mathematic point of view, and how they represent the trinity and all kinds of crazy shit like that. And I'm like, damn, like when did I go back to school?
Mm,
you know
mhm.
but
That,
it's just it's insane how like like now I'm starting to use more numerology. Like that's a thing. Like that works. Like there's a way that you can connect all the shit that you really know to like math and numbers, and man, it's like
When I first started walking in my journey of reading, they kept telling me to use the Pythagorean theorem. I am not even good with math. I had no clue what that was. So when I looked that up, I said, shit, you're just gonna have to give me the information because if I got to use numbers, it's never gonna work for me. So they just give me the info. Like
Mhm.
I can use tarot cards and shit like that and runes, but I because that's where I used to play with it. Regular cards, tarot cards, runes, because I used to test myself. But I also understand I don't need it. I think it is called the Kabbalah. I think it's the Kabbalah of what I was trying to get to. But they said the Pythagorean theorem. I listen, I don't know. I can't do gematria. I can't make it make sense to my mind.
Yeah, I rely on a gematria calculator because that's too above me.
Yeah. Understood. Understood. Mm.
But I mean, like the numbers have been so revealing, and I like gematria better, because it allows for you to work through your understanding. There are a lot of different sayings or different words that you can get from certain calculations that you do with that numerology um, system. But it allows you to have more of a discernment. Like it doesn't tell you directly what it means. It
Hmm.
gives you a list of these things that it equals and allows you to choose what you believe the number is expressing to you. And
Mm.
that's why I fuck with it so hard. Like when I'm working on writing a book about contacting angels, and the gematria has been very effective for me.
Understood. Understood. This has been so enlightening to me. I love to hear different perspectives and people's different walks. This has been so enlightening. I am so enamored. Gratitude for sharing your info with me, man.
This is fun. Well, I mean, like I enjoy learning about other people's way of believing and the different cultures. So I really appreciate getting a chance to speak with you.
Yeah, I have just another question before I get out of here
Okay.
because Z Energy has brought the Goetia to me, and I need now feel like I need to know more about it. I've
Okay.
looked it up. I've seen the beings and what they look like, but I would love information from you both, or tell me, like, give me some more knowledge on it.
Uh, 72 beings. They're, how do I mean, it's okay. A lot of the information, first of all, is coded. They say like there are a lot of beings that are good for finding treasure.
Hmm.
Don't take that literally. A treasure is knowledge.
Got
Okay.
it. Hmm.
So, but a lot of the goetic spirits are some of the old gods. I've had certain books that I've had on the Goetia that said that one of the goetic spirits is tied to Enlil, or like you have Belial, you have Baal, you have these, like supposed demons that were Old Testament bad guys.
Oh,
You
well,
know,
wait a minute now. I got to ask because you didn't say it now. So now I got to ask it in Lil, right? Um, just let's just go here for a second. My gosh, what do you know about this? The Enlil, and is it Inky or something? Is that correct? They're
yeah.
like siblings or something? Because I was just recently told when I did a world reading that these two beings are um, very present right now, and Donald Trump is going against these two beings.
I don't. Okay, I don't.
Allegedly.
Whatever.
Uh,
But I don't have a lot of personal experience with the Anunnaki pantheon. I can
mhm.
say that when I tapped into that energy, I saw Enki chasing Inanna. And it was funny because I was invoking Inanna and Enki was
Nana
like
is
on her hip.
Ishtar, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
tough.
So Enki is like head over heels with her, like just enamored and just addicted to her. Um, and that was funny how he came through. From what I know from the lore, Enki is the one who tries to help out human beings. He has like a Promethean, Luciferian kind of vibe to him. Whereas Enlil is more strict and I've even had certain grimoires describe him as a very dangerous spirit to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Like the things that I've read about this particular spirit, be like, okay, that guy's an asshole. Like I'm not fucking with him. But like at the same time, it's about how you come at things. You know, if you
Um,
have that mindset of that he's dangerous and he's gonna fuck you up, then yeah, like. But like if you approach him, say like with the mindset of a warrior spirit, like warrior spirits have a certain way of thinking about things that just involve destruction and an understanding of death, and that may be something that we don't want to focus on, but that doesn't necessarily make them wrong. you know
yeah.
that's just them seeing the world from a different point of view.
I think what I need to do is take some of these names and look them up and do research because I want to understand how they coincide with the intra beings, the deities that I work with. Um, because I know that they take their energy and they use their energy for negative, and that's how I first started working with them because they told me they were sick of that.
Hmm.
They're sick of the bullshit, you know. And if and it's not justified usage. And so, just looking at my chat over here and seeing what they're saying about them, um, when I did the reading, the world reading, they was telling me that and allegedly Elon Musk is using the energy, and it is a big battle that is going on between these disguised entities as well as the energy that they're using, and they're trying to each push their agenda,
Hmm.
using certain energies, and quote unquote psychic workers, and magic workers, alchemy. And that was another question I was going to ask. Do you do alchemy or magic?
Well, I mean, alchemy is basically about perfecting yourself.
Okay,
That's
transition of self. Okay.
yeah, like you or transmutation of other things, and alchemy comes from Egyptian uh, thought. Like it's found in Hermeticism, and even alchemy has chem in it, which is represents Kemet, which is ancient Egypt. Um, so
The
yeah,
deity as Sirion, the
as
deity of light, then alchemy.
yeah, and so like as let's say as somebody who studies Egyptian thought, yes, I'm an alchemist, 100%.
So do you practice magic?
Yes,
Okay.
but I feel that like we don't have a proper understanding of magic. When somebody says that, they think um, just dancing around a fire for no reason. But like, there's a science to it. There is
I mean, like invoking the spirit, calling out to the energy, doing ritual work,
meditating, yes,
herbs,
all that,
and making things happen, or like you know what I
using
mean, whether you
symbols.
call it
Yeah,
voodoo,
I'm
voodoo, hoodoo, like are you
I'm doing
into
that now.
work?
Yeah.
Yes, my approach to things have become more shamanic as of late. But yeah, from time to time I do rituals, but I do tap into a lot of different energies, and you know, um, get to know a lot of different magical beings.
Got it. I love it.
I'm
Gratitude.
currently I'm currently actually working with the angelics right now. I'm still going through a learning process right now. I'm still doing a lot of healing right now and still trying to understand a lot of inner transition with myself.
Got it.
That's why I stepped in. I started asking questions. So when I'm start talking to Xero, he preferred me to. I think it wasn't Bune. It was
Oh, Buer.
the Bueller. Yeah,
Buer is the healer.
yeah,
He's one of the
yeah,
goetic spirits.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like as I was telling Z Energy, like when you work with the angelics, they have a tendency to like work the shit out of you,
Oh yeah,
because
that energy.
one of the things about light is that it's created through movement. Light can be created
Hmm.
through
Mm-hmm.
friction.
Mm-hmm.
And so like their energy is going, going, going. They have a hyper vigilance. Like they don't fucking sleep because of their nature.
Mm-hmm.
It
And
feel like you
so
on coffee. Hmm.
and it's like because they don't understand human nature, some of them, a lot of them don't. They don't understand the need that like you need to rest. They're like, nah, we got shit to do. Like I'm goal oriented,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
you know? Um so yeah, so somebody who's getting caught up in those light or heavenly energies, they need a way to recuperate.
Hmm.
And like Buer is very good for that. Buer has helped me on a mental level as well as a physical level.
You also a herbalist.
Yeah, but he's never really talked to me about that. Like I've gotten tips about herbs from other sources, but never,
Hmm.
not too much from him.
Yeah, I know. I noticed the change, and when I was telling you about that, it felt like you just come out of gym at times. But one time, when I was like channeling and did working with Raphael, because I told him I wanted to get to know him, and I was asking for healing on
Mm.
that particular time. And when I did it that day, it just felt like I was on coffee all day. It just felt like a stream coffee, like a rush, like you can't go to sleep. I couldn't even close my eyes at time.
Mm.
But I know exactly what you was telling me about, and you do go through the the non cravings, as in you lose an appetite, but
That, or
the
like you
sugar
have to
rush and
change
the
your
sugar,
diet. Yeah, like you have to change your diet because
Yeah.
like heavier foods just don't like appeal to you. A lot of shit that you used to like doesn't
Hmm.
make any sense to you. Like you go through a whole change when you start like really fucking with the heavenly energies. Uh,
Yeah.
you go through bodily changes. He and I, like Z and I, talk about how like sometimes we'll have like glittery skin,
Oh yeah, I get that
or
now.
like with me, like I lost a shitload of weight. You know, where it's just like I wouldn't consider myself as having like flab or nothing, but I went from uh two being in between 265 and 275 to being down to 219, and that didn't start happening. That physical change didn't start happening until I started working with light beings.
Yeah.
When you say what do you mean when you say that? Working with the light beings helped you to lose weight? Because child, whatever I need to do.
Well, you have to understand that um, certain entities that you deal with, you start taking on their aspects. So the
Oh,
angelics are constantly on, like
Mm,
they're on 1,000. They're
yeah.
always playing at 11. You know what I'm saying? So if you're constantly moving and constantly doing things, you're gonna slim down because like all that, like you're burning all those calories and burning all that energy, and then you end up burning that fat, and you're realizing, oh shit, like my body is looking hella different.
got it.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Hmm. I noticed that when you were telling me about it, you just said, make sure you tell them that you need time to sleep and be a human at times.
Why?
I
You
did. I
know,
did not know
it's
that. I
me.
What'd you
be
say?
a human.
No, I thought it was just me. Sometimes I have to tell them that, like, you're not in the physical right now. You're not in my
Yeah.
human. You don't understand. Like,
Hmm.
there are certain things that we're going through, so I get that.
Yeah, I'd be like, bro, and the other thing about angels is sometimes they tend to try to like hijack your shit and become like really bossy, and it's like, no, like I asked you for X, Y, and Z. Like I appreciate your input, but like I got to live my own life.
Yep,
Yeah.
I
Like
have to say
slow the
that
fuck
here
down.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love you and everything, but like I'm not gonna be doing everything that you're telling me. Like,
I had to
Also,
have that conversation.
also, I want to make a note that you can also make pacts with angels as well, because the pacts, and you were telling me to take my time when I was doing that. You were like, man, you just take your time. You don't want to get into that just yet. You just telling me, and you were telling me all the warning signs and all that. Remember?
yep, yep.
Yep.
Because I mean, like,
Yeah.
even though they have a, they take things very seriously.
Hmm.
Like
Um,
military.
they're very,
Hmm.
yes, like
It feels
nine times out
military
of
to
10.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, like 10 times out of 10 when I contact an angel, it's a soldier. Um, and even their culture is very strict. Like whether they're soldiers or not. Um, so like you have to be ready to have that order, that stability, and that consistency.
Especially if you're asking it of them, you
Yeah.
know, because I've had to tell, a spirit just recently, like, you cannot tell me, you cannot boss me, you cannot make me. You can suggest something, and if I do it, then I do it, but I have free will. So you just can't just tell me what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Because
But
Zero was. Oh, I was
you
just saying. Go ahead.
well, I was just saying, like you have to be careful too because if you have a pact with them, if you have an agreement,
Hmm.
that gives them certain powers, like certain authorities.
Over you.
Um, there was a time when, for example, the Goetia are seen as fallen angels. Some of them are seen as jinn, but there was one time when I took on King Payman as a teacher, and so I had something to do early in the morning, so I was trying to like go to sleep and go to sleep early and be rested so I could do what I needed to do. King Payment comes in around 3 o'clock and he's trying to teach me a lesson. And so, like, nicely, I told King Payment, I said, I have something to do in the morning. Can we do this later? And, I said, I really need sleep. King Payment wasn't having it. And so, like, I got mad. I was like, can you quit, motherfucker? And that was one of the biggest mistakes that I
I
made,
remember.
because
I
what he
remember.
did was he did something to me that had me wide the fuck awake, where I could not go back to sleep. And he was like, oh, he was like, now that you're awake, I guess we can go with that lesson,
Yeah, totally get it. Listen, I've done it with Yosef. Like, I really want to get my body back in shape, and it's like, oh, you ready? Like, yeah. And he will wake me up at 6 or 7 in the morning, like, let's go. Like, no, no, no. Oh, what? Katina, it's your body. Don't worry about it. I got something I'm gonna do, and I'll go over there, and no elevators are working. I bet you ass to take the steps. I bet you ass to get the exercise in. So I so get that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'll cancel your appointment.
And
You got something to do? No problem. The wrong
not
day. I
anymore.
mean, on the wrong day. No, I swore I made this for this day.
Yeah, because I learned a lot from Zero, but he just told me not to rush and don't kind of like move too fast when it comes to like inhaling a lot of that knowledge, because you can overwhelm yourself with like insanity,
Absolutely.
and then
Absolutely. I've seen it happen.
insanity becomes a kill to the brain and the mind. And a lot of people make big mistakes as in moving forward, trying to learn trying to jump into something so fast, jumping
Mhm,
packs and stuff like that,
mhm.
and that's a killer right there.
Yeah, your mind becomes fractured. I've seen it happen in my walk. I've seen it happen several times with people where I would
Mhm.
receive phone calls of people, and you know what I'm saying, in a state of mental emergency, where it's like, wait a minute, I just met you in person and this was not the person. What has happened? And it'd be like a complete break, a fracture in the mind. So you absolutely have to be careful about doing things too quickly.
I've had issues where I was tapping into Lucifer's energy and was going through like a crazy ass fracturing, where you can feel some certain things like that, where it's just puts you to the point of like breaking down. Um, and there's like a point of disassociation from yourself. Like,
Mhm.
um, there's a total, like, there's like I wouldn't call it a total ego death, but like there is an ego death that is that comes upon you in a negative sense, because it's like you don't know how to function on this level, because you've kind of like lost yourself in who you are, or what everything means. Like, you have no fucking clue what like regular shit means. um
Mhm.
so yeah, like you have to be careful. And there have been times when you think you're ready for certain information. It's like, no, you're not. There have been times when I've been so fucked up off of like what they've told me that they've had to reset me. They're like, okay, we're gonna stuff this in his subconscious, and then when he's ready, it's gonna surface. Because like that shit will have you crawled up in a ball in a corner somewhere. Like, I can't fucking take this right now.
That part. People don't believe me when I say they reset. I don't know if you even understand if I say, like, I've had them tell me they've reset time. They've done things so people are still in the living state of reset. Um, you know, do you
I
understand?
I get that very much so. I've recently remembered a time during my childhood when I drowned. Like, I was dead, like dead, like there was nobody coming to help me. There was nobody around to help me.
Oh
But
my
all of a sudden, like, I was like reset. Like, I just appeared at the side of the pool coughing up water, and there still wasn't anybody like supervising me. Like, I'm a little fucking kid, and it's just like I'm here in the same timeline. It's not even a it's like a respawn, an instant respawn.
I was drowning in the bottom of the fucking lake, bro. I seen the white light and I heard my mom screaming. I was like 2 or 3 years old and they snatched me out of the lake. You've got to be fucking kidding me. Do you think that's a connection inside of what we do or the experiences that we're having?
I think that, yeah, I mean, like in ways, it's very symbolic. If you think about the water, the water is like a baptism, being born
Mm.
anew. Like, and we died in that shit. Like, that is like a death,
Mm-hmm.
because when you
Wow.
come up from the surface, you're a new being. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's a new birth. Um, and it's like the same thing with trauma. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people who get on their paths of awakening go through some trauma that causes them to think differently. They have to
Yes.
die to the way that they were thinking and realize, like, this shit isn't working. I have to change.
A soldier dies many deaths.
Yeah. And
That gives a new life to that. Go ahead,
I had a,
Tupac.
I had a similar experience. I had
and
a similar experience like that too as well. I drowned in the pool for like a good while, and I was you know, doing some dumb kid stuff like I always do, and just running around the pool, and I fell in there, and it took like 3 or 4 minutes. I took in a lot of water, but I still managed to be alive though after that because a lot of people tried to get me out and they couldn't get me out. So my cousin, he was inside. He came out, and it took him. It just seemed like it was long. I was down there for a long time before they came and got me, and I still came out breathing.
I
it's,
think that's so interesting.
it was funny because I remember when I was drowning, like, it wasn't a bad experience. It wasn't like I was focusing on choking up on water. I was just, and this is around like 4 or 5, I think,
Mhm.
and I'm just at peace with it. Well, I'm like, I understand that I'm going to
It was
die.
very peaceful. You're right.
Yeah, and it's like I'm just looking at the light coming in from the surface and how it's like distorted and stuff, and just like, all right, and then all of a sudden, like, I'm right back at it, like nothing ever fucking happened. And it's funny how nobody around you is aware of like the shit you just went through.
Yeah.
It's like everybody's oblivious. Like the whole experience when I was fucking drowning, it was just
Mhm.
like, where's my legal guardian?
With
Where
the
the fucking
adults.
and where are
Yeah.
the rest of the people in the pool? Like, nobody's seen this? And it's
Yep.
like, even when I'm at the side of the pool coughing up water and shit,
Mm-hmm.
like it seems like nobody sees me. Nobody gives a fuck. Like, everything is just
Slow motion.
going
It's
along.
probably was the reset. That reset
It felt like it
is a
was slow motion.
strange thing.
It
That's
felt like
and it's crazy. Like, and I, for a long time, I think I repressed that memory because I do remember it going on, and I do remember it being kind of weird. But it was just like, you tell certain people and they'd be like, "That shit's crazy." You know what I'm saying? But now I'm like, there's something in me that's like, that shit makes a lot of sense.
Uh-huh.
Where
Mhm.
it's like, it's time to speak on that.
Yeah. Gratitude for sharing that. Like you just blew my mind with that one. Man. So I have people over in my chat that's also saying around those ages that they almost drowned.
Are you
Um,
fucking kidding me? They're like, that's crazy.
it is. Mm.
Wow.
Well,
That's how you know you're a spiritual person. If
yes,
you
right?
drowned or almost drowned, damn, you're gonna be one crazy motherfucker when it comes to magic.
I mean, I show
I,
gratitude for
I
real.
I've been through so near
Oh
a
my.
lot of death experience I can't even count. It's like 9 lives like a cat, and I still just come out.
Absolutely, Z.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Dang. This is dope as fuck. I would like to do this again. Um,
Let's
definitely want to
go.
pick some minds between you both. Um, this was amazing. I show gratitude for sharing space with me, Mr. Zero and Z.
Oh, it's fun talking to you. I always love talking to people who are educated and experienced, especially when it comes to like this subject and like they're real about like their experiences.
Yeah.
You know? And it's always encouraging and inspiring. And you know, I think it's also good to promote like the connectivity that we have between black people. You know, like I'm not saying anything like I'm not
Yes.
racist or anything, but like a lot of us don't practice unity these days. And a lot of us aren't, you know, big on talking about things that are important, things that matter,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm,
learning about our ancestry, or even giving a shit about that, or trying to dig deep into things and have an understanding of the world around us. And
Yeah.
so I love it when I have the chance to connect in this way um, with, you know,
Yeah.
just you know, people that may have a better understanding of where I come from, um, because of that aspect, you know. And I love the fact that there are more black intellectuals that are popping up, you know, when for so long a lot of our culture was seen as ignorant, you
Mm.
know.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Too busy program.
Too busy being programmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Music. You name it.
I've learned a lot this evening. I'm not going to lie to you. And I understand now when Yehuda tells me a lot, you need to get your spirit work done, your soul work, you need to expand, you know, things are going on and you're not practicing your magic and your spirit work, and we need you to do that. And so I've learned a lot this evening, and I show gratitude for again sharing the space. Hopefully we can do it again. I'm so excited. I appreciate you very, very much for being open and candid like you did. And you know, I'm always leery. Let me just be transparent. I'm always leery about coming into certain spaces because people judge the shit out of me for, and I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it is that I'm stepping into.
Hmm.
And so it felt, once we got to talking, it felt good, you know. So I'm just appreciative of sharing space.
Well, thank you for the compliment. Um,
Definitely.
you know, like I don't try to judge people because I understand that, you know, like we all have our certain experiences that, you know, we make our different choices, you
Yeah,
know, and sometimes we have to get to a place of humility through those choices.
yeah,
And like you said before, because you've had your life and you've done things that may seem be seen as negative, that puts you in a place to understand when somebody's coming from a place that where they might be judged, and you're like, nah, like I got my own shit,
yeah,
so let's be real, you know.
yeah, absolutely. Well,
Definitely.
my channel, my chat is showing gratitude to you both for the conversation. They feel like they've learned a lot and they were very active. And my slow self, child, I just looked at the top of y'all's live where it says share this to your audience. So I could have just did that instead of having it set up the way it is. But now I know for next time. So gratitude, y'all. I appreciate it. I am going to go ahead and step out because I really have to go tinkle.
No
But I
problem. No problem.
appreciate you both. It was so nice meeting you, Zero.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for the people. Peace to
Thank you,
all of you.
Governess. Yeah.
Peace.
Thank you,
Gratitude.
Governess.
Peace.
I was lit. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was great. This is awesome.
That was a
I,
great
I
vibe, man.
really I really enjoyed that, and
Yeah. Yeah. We got to do some more like that. Well,
I was
yeah.
looking. I was actually looking forward to that. Like that's it's, and I love when we have like a conversation. You know, where
Hmm.
yeah, it's kind of like an interview, but like where we learn from each other, like from our experiences, and like uh, Yeah, where it's like the conversation's organic.
Mm-hmm.
Shit is dope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She channels a lot though. The higher councils. You know, some people have that ability and some people don't. Um, it depends on like the bloodline too, and like how you take care of yourself. But some people just can have that ability and it just come on online.
I
You know
think
what
it
I
also
mean?
says a lot if somebody's contacted, like connected to the higher
Yeah.
beings, because you have to have like a certain amount of understanding and a certain amount of humility for them to even fuck with you like that. You know what I'm saying? So, that says something very good about her character. That I feel, you know.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, bro. Yeah, definitely. We got to do more like that and stuff like that, and you know what I mean? Because bringing awareness is like a number one. When you bring awareness, you kind of like letting people know how to tap into like you know what I mean, like different parts of them
Hmm.
that help them out and help them understand who they is, who they truly are.
I,
Because yeah,
I
definitely,
always
man. Because
love
that.
broadening my audiences, like, and a lot of people have come to me from other channels and
Mm-hmm,
they've told me about their experiences, and I love that shit. You know.
mm-hmm. Definitely, man. We have to put something. We got to put together something, man. Cause I definitely want to do some more like a lot of different things. I can't even name them right now, but different angels and stuff like that, and Egyptian and Pathian, and I guess we take some more journey through the Goetians as well. Got to
Well,
spend.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead and
Yeah,
finish. Oh, well,
yeah.
I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like I'm working on stuff on my end.
Mm-hmm.
I got some personal stuff I'm working on, but like I'm also working on, like I said, the book. There's other plans that I've gotten to work, so it's not like I'm just halting, but like I feel like a lot of the stuff I've been doing has been more interviews and stuff like that
Oh
because
yeah, the
it's been
transition, man.
taking
I see it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's been taking me a while to kind of take what I've been learning and then compare it to my experiences and make it into something that makes sense. And it's like now it feels like something is telling me to be a little bit more discerning with the deeper
Mm-hmm.
stuff that I've learned. So it's
Yeah.
like I can discuss certain things with certain people, but at the same time, those things can't necessarily be made public.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
So I've
It's
I've
understandable.
come to a new appreciation of dare to be silent,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not necessarily because I want to. Because like when I
Mm-hmm.
go through something, I want to tell somebody, I want to share it, and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, no," they're like, "Calm down."
You know what? A couple years back, people ain't didn't give a damn about like spiritual like community. It's like
Mm,
our people were so like off key and stuff. They like going this way and this way. But as
mm.
soon as somebody bring it to the front like this, they look at it as like demonic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're demonic. You're
Hmm.
stupid. Like,
Exactly. So I get we are in the age of the Aquarius. Still, I believe it's still transitioning to another um, zodiac sign. So I know we gotta. And I'm just like to bring awareness to like a lot of people because
mm,
it's some people out there still trapped in the dark and don't know where to go at, and um, some of them become aware they be wanting to commit suicide and stuff like that.
yeah,
So
I met a
you're
few of
doing
those.
you're doing a job as helping them understanding and
Mm,
not to be afraid and pretty much like kind of like learn how to understand like the energy, you know what I mean? Because it's overwhelming at times.
Yeah, yeah. There's been a lot of people who have been, I've had a few people come to me and they're like, "Oh, I don't fit anywhere in the world," and it's just like, no, like you have to learn to carve your own fucking path. Make your
Mm-hmm.
own space, and like you're not alone. Like there's a lot of people who are waking up who have no idea what to do next, or they feel out of place.
Yeah.
And it's like we have to be able to see a lot of people. Our society has separated each other in such a way, such a profound way, where we don't empathize or sympathize with one another anymore, not on a genuine manner. And then we lose connection. And when somebody goes through a crisis because they feel like they're alone, they don't understand that they're really not alone. Like there's a shitload of people who are going through the same stuff, similar experiences that you
Yeah.
are.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep. It's a lot. It's
like
a lot
we
of
have to
young.
make sure,
It's a lot of
yeah, like
young
those
generation. Yeah.
those people who are having those problems, as ones who have gone through a lot of that, like we have to make sure that they're like, no, like you're not alone in the way you feel. Um, you're not crazy, and there is a place for you. But sometimes you just got to dig,
Yep.
and you
Yep.
got to have patience. Shit's not gonna fall in your lap.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, man. Everybody, make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. Like, definitely. I'm finna go ahead and end the live right on this note. Definitely. Hold on, y'all. Peace, peace. It's from Z and Xero.
Have a good one.
Yo.
Mhm.